All right, we'll start right here with the gentleman, I believe the gentleman?
I'm clean shaven, but I didn't think I was that clean shaven.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Can we take the other lights down?
Okay. Probably a pretty basic question here. Is this for PC only, correct?
Yes.
If you have a Mac like me, then why should I be interested in this?
Well, you should be interested because there are things that we're doing to address that. We're, of course, not committing to doing a Mac client, but it's something that we're talking about. We've got a lot of game to develop and a lot of stuff to do over the next year, so that's our focus right now, is developing the game and getting it out the door.
Okay.
Let me give you sort of a straight dope answer on that too. On the side, one of our programmers has amused himself by making the game work on the Mac. So I don't know that we'll do an official release or not, but it's certainly theoretically possible.
Okay.
That's just the honest God answer on it. Until then, there's a boot camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know boot camp sucks. I use it too.
All right, thanks.
All righty, let's go over to this microphone over here. A person.
I'd just like to know, how hard is the separation between the factions? Can you ever PvE together, or is it only PvP separation?
You will see them run around the game. You can't interact with them in a positive way.
Can you at least talk to them, or is the language separated?
We are talking about exactly how that's going to be implemented, but I can tell you just from a story standpoint, which is being reflected in the design side, which is that we know it's very important for people to choose a side, right? To sort of have an allegiance, that it's something people get really passionate about. And so, at least in WildStar, we want that to be something that has teeth and that matters. And so we generally probably don't want exiles and Dominion guys hand in hand going down and killing creatures.
So I guess the answer is we're talking about letting you talk, I think is what the answer is. All right, let's go to this guy. Or not, yeah. Go ahead.
How you doing, guys? Really excited about the game. I was wondering if you guys decided on a subscription model yet.
So we're going to talk business model probably over even the next few months. And so we've certainly talked a lot about it. We've been flexible in terms of how we've implemented, even because the market's been, these things take forever. Like game development's like 5 years plus if you're going to do a couple hundred or more hours of content. So we've actually sort of built flexibly, but we'll talk deeply about that probably, I would guess, by 2 months from now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Just wanted to thank you guys for making the VO lively and feel amazing.
Thanks.
I hope the rest of the game is like that as well, along with the videos that you've already shown.
That's a goal.
It honestly sounds awesome. The best that I've heard in a long time for any game.
Right on. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
One of the things we commented on when we put the WildStar video out is the first time that we've heard a professional voice actor crack up in the middle of his takes or say, "What the heck did I even just say? And what the hell kind of game are you guys making?"
I just wanted to say I really appreciate that comment. It makes me feel really good, and the whole team feel really good about all the hard work we put in on the VO side. And it's just not me, but basically everybody at this table. And we had really high standards with the VO. What we wanted to do is to make sure that these people could act and deliver the personalities that were written in lore. And that's really hard to find, but we tried our best to really kill it.
Well, Charlie and team certainly makes it look effortless. And if we could do me a favor, all the people with compliments, could you move to the front of the line? Is there something we can do? All right, go ahead.
I was wondering, how is it going to work with story? Is it based on the race you play, based on the class you play? And is it based on what's going on in the world at that moment? So how does that work?
So there's multiple levels of stories that we're telling. Obviously, there's what we call local stories. So every zone, you go to a particular zone or a subzone, and there's a particular story that drives the content of that subzone, right? So the NPCs there have the things that they care about. And then there's bigger sort of ongoing stories, right? The big mystery of Nexus is what happened to the Elden. So as you play through all of our content, you're picking up hints about what happened to them. If you're a scientist, you're actually getting more information about that. And so that's what I would consider sort of a meta story. And then, there are other smaller stories, like there'll be some racial stories that are sort of specifically designed to tell the story of if you're an Orin, right?
Can I chime in on that, Chad?
Yeah, go ahead.
So here's a for instance. This story here, this is Vinball is a game that is played in our housing, not sort of spoiler, and this is a member of a Vinball team who crashed on this island. So we tell this nice serious story, and then there's a 40-foot tall, giant, rugby-looking guy who ate the rest of his football team, or Vinball team, I should say. So we tell both big and little stories within the context of it. There's also stuff tied to your path, too, because your path missions are separate than all the other people wandering around the area. Yeah.
The other thing as well is we definitely love to have fun and we have a good time with this stuff, but there are serious elements to this game as well. I mean, we try to hit a lot of different notes in the way that we tell our stories. Thanks.
Can I have one more thing about story? Our goal is always let people play the way they want to play. So it was really important, even though we want to get the story across and we want to get the personality across, that we're not just like overloading people with like a 30-minute cinematic in the middle of their gameplay experience, because we want people to play together as quickly as possible. So we try to give you a little bit everywhere. Like the VO might come across while you're talking to a quest giver or in a little quick cinematic, but you're also getting calls as you're fighting out in the world, just giving you little snippets here and there. That's the same thing with the story. You might get a data cube that tells you a little bit more about Nexus. So we like to see it as a whole, and if you're like a story geek, then you could probably play the game and find story everywhere, but it's never force-fed to you.
Also, play a scientist, you unlock more story than anyone else in all the galactic archives and the backstory and all that.
I got something too.
That's what we're doing there.
No, you don't. All right, because I hear from you guys all the time. Go ahead.
Okay, first off, that is the sexiest housing system I've ever seen.
Nice, excellent.
Hours of my life is going to be spent that. My question is, with the 4 different paths that you guys have, I have friends that would be in all 4 of those. How does that work with playing as a group together? So can somebody who's like an explorer do just as much in like a war plot and like fighting as a soldier? How does that work?
The path stuff is when we did the path, we looked at paths. We tried to focus on a soldier killing stuff. That's what they want to do. But then a lot of people gave us, when we did our focus test, gave us feedback saying, "Hey, we'd all like to do those things." So we took all the mechanics and spread them throughout the game. You'll get it during quest content, and you just picking a path gives you more of that kind of content. So you will get to do everything. As far as war plots and those things are concerned, you have special, I don't want to give too much away, but you have special abilities and you can do special things that other people can't, but it's never overpowering. We never want it to turn into a thing where people are like, we don't want an explorer, we need 3 soldiers. So we're keeping that very much in mind as we
And isn't there some content that is made for partnerships between people who are soldiers and explorers and scientists?
Yeah, we call it crossing paths. I apologize. Yeah. And what that just means is that when we design the content, we're trying to make sure that if you go to some kind of space Tortuga and you're fighting crazy space pirates in a space somewhere, a lot of space involved in that one. When you turn around and do that, that there is, the explorer is, he's searching for a high height to call in snipers. You have a soldier who's going to do demolition, and he's going to clear out the play space. So everybody's tied together in with the content, but also with each other. So if you want to turn around and say, hey, in one of the zones we're looking at, not this zone, but one of the zones we were just looking at, you can open a secret underground passageway as an explorer that the scientist can go in and he can scan certain things inside, and he can do it quicker with the help of the explorer. Plus, paths share XP. So if you help someone else, you can share their XP. As a matter of fact, you can go in level 1, stand next to the first soldier holdout, and just help people do the soldier holdouts for the entire time you play the game. It would take you a long time, but you could do it.
So let me give a little context to the screen, by the way. Mike just fought a demonically possessed soda machine.
Yeah, Mike, can you do that again?
We're occasionally asked, hey, what makes WildStar different from other MMOs besides, war plots and dynamic content and terrain you can change and housing and, random release spawning dungeons and discoveries and the path system. But besides those things, I haven't fought a lot of demonically possessed soda machines in most other MMOs. Although,
nor should you.
Yes, that's probably true.
All right, so we're going to do a little less talking up here and a little more answering of questions over here.
Yeah, I've been following you guys since you announced like 2 years ago. But I'm really excited about the game. I'm really excited about paths. And you mentioned something about the settler path being a social path. Can you do any more detail on that? And also, is there going to be sort of fast travel mount system Can you say anything about that?
Mike Donatelli?
There will be mounts. And by using them, you will travel fast. Other than that,
Hey, Mike, do you want to hop on a mount?
we'll talk about that. As far as the paths are concerned, the settler, which we're not going to do a big deal about just because we're going to, save it, as Troy was saying. I will talk a little bit. The settler, his missions are based with helping people and helping more people that help him help them. It's a very social situation. Super social.
Yes, I think is the answer. I'm not trying to speak.
I've mastered the way of saying absolutely nothing.
But using a long sentence to do so.
Hey, let me give an example of social content that we can actually talk about. I'll be quick, I promise. The goal is the more people you help, the more settler XP you get. And so for instance, that's you create a campfire, and everybody who uses the campfire gets a buff. And now the more people use the campfire, they all get buffed, and you get settler XP for each person who uses it. And it turns out this is a really interesting puzzle because you cannot go on the web and find out the answer to where do you put your campfire that the most people use it. Because if you put it where everyone else's campfires are, people use yours less. The town is full of campfires. So maybe there's a dynamic event. Go find it, put your campfire down so that more people use it. These kind of puzzles, it turns out, are quite fun, and they haven't been delved into enough, I would argue, in the MMO space because, in box games you can experiment with all sorts of crazy combat systems and all that sort of stuff, but you can only experiment with social stuff in MMOs, really, or in, persistent character games at least. And so we've enjoyed actually experimenting with a lot of that kind of stuff, and with the settler in particular.
For those of you watching the screen, you might see a mount that is helping you travel faster. Go ahead.
Hey guys, just want to say the game looks phenomenal and I absolutely love the art style. I'm wondering what kind of led you to decide to follow that aesthetic when?
Matthew McCarsky.
I think I'll handle that.
What happened?
Oh.
What happened?
Apparently people don't like me. Okay.
No, they think you're cute.
Oh. So, really what it came down to, early on in the project, we explored some different art styles. We knew from the get-go that we didn't want to do anything based in reality. There's nothing wrong with that. I love games like, Uncharted or Call of Duty and stuff like that have a more realistic look, and there's a artistic part of that. But I'm kind of born and bred on comic books and Saturday morning cartoons and anime. So that's just where my passions lie, and that's kind of the team that we formed had the same, kind of upbringing. And so basically what we did was we threw a bunch of stuff out there, and we saw what resonated with the team, and we started to pick stuff out, and then we evolved the style based off that. And, people, that's kind of where the humor evolved too. People were really kind of, they would really dig into like the high personality stuff or the really stylized stuff. So that was kind of the foundation of the art style, and since then it's been kind of evolving over the past like 3 or 4 years.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey guys. Excuse me. I was hoping maybe you could expand a little more on what the concept of war plots is, because one question I have is the video talked about how you and your party would kind of help use your money to build up your war plot to make it more and more fortified. Is that one of those things? Is that something that after you have a player versus player match and your fortress takes damage, is it something that requires upkeep or is it a permanent thing?
So what we're trying to do, here's the general concept of war plots. We did housing. We're like, dude, housing's kind of fun. Like, you get to build stuff and it's cool. But what if you could actually make housing to crush? What if instead of, you work in a bunch of houses together, you're all building together a battleground, and then we plug that battleground into our world and let it fight against other battlegrounds while you're on it running around with, giant epic stuff destroying you at the same time. And then further, what if you could do stuff like capture raid bosses and pin them down on your war plot and then send them out to go beat up the other guy's war plot? We think that'd be cool. And so...
I agree.
Yeah, me too. It's kind of fun too. And so with that, with that overall conceit, we're designing war plots to be a kind of hardcore game style. You don't do it while you're leveling up. It's a level cap only thing. It's an elder game. And we want it to be pretty hardcore, and so we're actually looking to make it, destroy your enemy's plot, do damage to it, it needs to be regenerated, all that kind of thing. But with this, as with everything, we're an iterative development team, which is why things take forever sometimes. But it's a good thing, and so really what we need to do is get into closed beta, coming soon, by the way, and then get some hardcore guilds in there to go try it out and beat stuff up, and then really get fan feedback on, what of it should be persistent, how annoying is it when people destroy all your stuff, and then, you got to repair it all, or is it cool because it's actually putting more skin in the game? And so a lot of that stuff is honestly, it's TBD during beta. We actually listen to our fans.
How many of you have signed up for beta? Not all of you? Shame. Shame on you, on most of you, on some of you. Go ahead.
How's it going, guys? I'm actually more interested in the customization aspects that you have. Obviously, the housing is pretty intense and quite insane. Never really seen anything like that. With characters, though, is there any way you can go into more detail with that? More particularly, how you can customize your character's appearance?
Matt, I feel like we might have planted some of these questions in the audience. They're a little too perfect.
Absolutely, and if things go well, I'll be talking more about that later on in PAX, hopefully tomorrow at our booth and on Sunday. But I'll kind of give you the brief one because it is a very thorough thing. So we have your bread and butter customization on all of our player races. So stuff like, hey, you could swap your face, you could different hairstyles. What we try to do is we try to identify something that is really unique to that race as well. Orin, as all you guys probably know, are known as the bunny people. Well, they're not actually bunny people. You could put different types of kitty ears and butterfly ears and all that stuff. So
bat ears.
There's bat ears. And then, the Drac can have all sorts of different types of horns, and obviously, fun stuff like the Makari, you could pretty much do anything with a robot. So we have robo beards and all sorts of crazy stuff to add to them. But once again, that's pretty basic, if you ask me. I mean, on top of all the colors and everything that you could do. Well, we're layering in what we call advanced customization options, where you have bone sliders and everything. And right now that's in a pretty prototype beta form, but you could actually go into show floor, and I noticed that a lot of people don't notice this, but if you go to the customize button and it has your face type, there's a little icon next to that that's a gear and a ratchet, and that will actually take you to the bone slider, so you guys could actually conform your faces to a bunch of different things.
Hacks.
So anyway, is that no? Yeah. That's supposed to be in, right? Okay. Hopefully, I'm not telling you lies. So that's just for character. We have a lot of plans for customization. One of the things that whenever we implement something that a player can get, such as housing or other things, I'm not going to announce too many things here, but we always ask, can you customize it? And our answer is always yes. So whenever we add anything for you guys to collect or anything, we want to give you guys the power to do as much to it as you possibly can. So,
all right, we are quickly running out of time. Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
I know the game has crafting, but I don't actually know anything about it. Could I hear a little about it?
I'll give a tiny bit. We'll talk about crafting probably. We have a big schedule of stuff we were talking about because we like keeping excitement going and building up to buzz and then having billions of units sold and then all being rich and stuff. That's the short form marketing plan right there in a nutshell. With crafting, what we like doing is we like having lots of player, interaction across it. So as you've seen housing, for instance, almost all of that stuff, a healthy percentage of that stuff is actually player crafted so that you can, some of it you get through vendors, some of it players are crafting for each other, some of it is quest rewards and drops, some of it is raid rewards and drops, and some of it's just buyable off the little gold piece vendor there. The goal is to have a really healthy interaction across the economy on that front. So I promise we'll dig more into crafting in ensuing months, and I also promise it's pretty damn cool. I'm a crafting fan personally, and so we have a good system for it.
In support of that as well, we're actually starting up some features on our community site, which is wildstar-online.com. We're going to be sitting down with our econ feature team, which are the folks that are kind of in charge of that particular feature, and we're going to interview them and ask them questions about that stuff. Did you have something more to add?
No, let's do speed round questions. Ask anything, we'll answer as fast as possible.
Okay, duels?
Yes.
Can you do war plots with people of your faction, like Exile versus Exile?
At the moment, yes. Probably it'll be that way at launch.
Cool.
Awesome, thank you. Next.
Will there be matchmaking for dungeons and raids?
Yes for dungeons, it's under question for raids.
Thank you. Next.
Will there be vendors on your house?
You can, at the moment, yeah, you can put in plugs and stuff that have vendors on them, and there are vendors who will sell you stuff for your house. So in either sense of that question,
I meant like you can put items in, and every player from like a public
like
old
Ultima does.
Online.
At the moment, no.
All right, that's all.
Sorry.
I know it's cool, but
sorry for your luck. Next.
My question is more in regard to design philosophy. I'll try to ask it quickly. In my opinion, the MMO market culture has sucked in the last few years. It's saturated, and I feel as an MMO player, I'm not going from MMO to MMO. I'm going from disappointment to disappointment. An MMO comes out. It's exciting for a year. It has a little bell and whistle. It's different from the last MMO, but then after that month, it's time to quit the game. Did you get together as a design team and with a thinking philosophy and say, how are we going to make a game that will not become boring after a month?
The answer is yes. Next question. Yes. I'm going to throw that over to Jeremy.
Yes, and beyond that, we've analyzed player patterns, why people drop out of the game. We've looked at all the NCSoft products, all the products we've worked as well for what works for retaining people and what doesn't. Right now in the MMO market, you're completely right. There's this huge mass of people. About 1 million to 3 million people buy almost every MMO that comes out, except for Secret World. And Secret World should have, because it wasn't that bad of a game. I thought it was kind of cool. So there's a huge market of people looking for the next big MMO, but games, I would argue, come out too early, and they come out without other games, and they come out without retention features built in. And it's because they're freaking expensive, and so, it's pretty easy to rush them out because it takes a lot to make them. And so our goal and our mission is to not do that and just, be intelligent and make a game we want to play too.
Awesome question.
Thank you.
Go for it.
Hi. We criticize because we love.
Yeah.
One of the first things I noticed when I got into the game this afternoon was
how awesome it was. Next question.
Right after that.
Yes, the game is awesome. Okay.
An exclamation point over a character's head. And I've clicked so many exclamation points. Are there other things going on to push the story forward?
You want that mic or should
Yeah,
I
please.
through?
No, I'll do it. I'll take the tough one. No, it's very simple. We all like playing MMOs. I love MMOs. We're all MMO fans, and we weren't looking at this going, how are we going to reinvent the genre, right? We all have you'll see in our game that there's the familiar, and then what the stuff we like, stuff we added, challenges, all kinds of stuff that you see in other games that we just thought would be fun. Double jump, even though it was a humongous pain in the ass to turn around and try to balance everything. I'm sorry. And the point is, yes, you will see some quest bangs, but we do a lot of comm call quest stuff where that are situational to where you're at, and a lot of random stuff that we don't count. I don't really care if you go through the whole game and it's going to be 200 hours a game and you blow through it in 40. That's good. Have a good time. I'm not going to try to stop you. We're not going to try to put any blocking things in your way. Have fun playing the game. Play it several times, but it's the Elder game and our focus on that's going to make this better.
Fast answer, every area has dynamic challenges, discoveries, which are dynamic events that go on, comm call quests, found quests, item drop quests, the different things that you interact with in the area. There's environmental hazards, environmental benefits, like the huntresses wandering around giving you reputation if you fight cool stuff near them, public quests, and then a quest line that gives you a direction through this area of all this found content so that you know what the hell's going on. And so a bang means here's the thing to give you a path through this if you want to do it. And if you want to ignore them or turn off quest bangs, you can.
I think, and you asked specifically about story. There's things like data cubes that you find that tell you the story. We have a whole system called the Galactic Archives,
and journals,
which is basically your Wikipedia of everything on Nexus that fills up as you play. Journals. So quests are not the only way for you to get story. You're going to be getting story all the time.
And the first time you go into the zone, we give you the quest line to give you the path through the zone, and it's a quest bang, and everybody who plays goes, but gotta quest bangs. So yes, I hear your pain.
I like that really short answer. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so unfortunately we are very near out of time. Oh, they're giving me the time.
Oh, the red one.
Yeah, the red one. Hey folks, I know that we have a lot of people here who have questions. We're going to be having a dev social at our booth. And I think we're starting that at 5 o'clock. Please come by, ask any of us any questions. Honestly, we are so excited to be here to talk to you. This is why we're doing this. So please don't be afraid to come by the booth and pull someone aside. We've got lots of great things to share with you. Outside of that, I think that's it. Would you do me a favor and give these guys a round of applause? They did a great job. For those of you who are wondering, we're at booth number 462, so come by and say hi. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, guys.